Hi, everyone. Welcome to FESIG's 63rd meeting. And today is the 2nd of April. FESIG is a free energy special interest group. This is our webpage, throughvisionapiece/FESIG.html. And FESIG is a free energy special interest group, and we are a platform where science meets spirituality, where all would come together here to share ideas, to present what you've got that you could make a difference to humanity. And we don't take sides. This is a place, a platform where we unite all of you with what you got to do here, not reinventing the wheel, but to work together as a team so we can move forth very quickly and very effectively to accomplish our divine mission here that we have volunteered to come here to do on planet Earth. And you could see the announcement of the speakers here as you scroll down. And in this instance, you hover your mouse over the name of the speaker and it takes you to his website and so on and so forth. So today we have Jared Rand speaking. And it's so good. We have a huge big gathering here because Jared has notified his followers about this meeting. So here you are. And these are the listing of the speakers. We had Carrie Cassidy as well speaking, Jessica Marocco, Captain Randy Kramer on his holographic regeneration mid-bid. And then we have so many notables here in FESIG, and we are so lucky. We have Alina Kapulnik, the star traveler here talking about the secret space program, Marina Jacobi, and so many wonderful people who actually is now making a big difference to the disclosure community in the work that we have come here to do. And of course, now we have James Gilliland as well of the ET Ranch and many others in the past. I couldn't just possibly list everyone in this tiny little web page. Charles is going to help me break it up into several pages to make it easier for you. And this was our last meeting where Patrick Kelly was doing the honors of the presentation of the buoy marine motor generator, which is really exciting because for the first time after since we started 3 years ago, we managed to get Thomas Buoy to open source via FESIG his blueprint to build free energy device that we could share with everyone. I'm going to do a quick PowerPoint presentation. I am Crystal Goh, the initiator founder of FESIG, and we have our co-chair, Dr. Frezel, for the first session. And for the second session, we have Pontus Hapsger co-chairing with me. Free Energy Special Interest Group is our objective is to help you build your own free energy device to power up your home. And the secondary objective probably to, it might just spin off into cottage industries or in the community for manufacturing it, whatever, that's going to help make this go viral. Right, okay, so the new members have been introducing ourselves whilst waiting for Jared to step in just now. So that is superb. Thanks to co-chair Dr. Frezel. So Jared will be talking about the celestial chamber for healing and rejuvenation, kind of like the medical beds that Captain Randy Kramer is building as well, but it's a bit different. And the RV, he'll be talking about funding, free energy, replicators, and disclosure intel. And Jared, I remember you saying in your podcast or in the YouTubes that this will be the galactic technologies that will be released soon to humanity. And we're all so excited, we're all ears to hear what you got to share with us, what you know about this release. And then the second session will be continuing with the making of the buoy marine motor generator prototype that's almost completed now by Pontus Hapsger for beta testing and verification by Dr. Elizabeth Donovan. And so Pontus will be co-chairing with me in the second session. So don't go away. You can always, stay on. And if it's boring you a bit because you're not a technical person, it's fine. I mean, some of us will be making it, and some of us possibly, will be starting some manufacturing concerns, of course, with agreement with the inventor, and we would get to be able to sell it to you. So not everybody wants to make these things, but it's all in well. So the next meeting then will be adjourned to the next meeting. That will be the first Wednesday of the month, and I think that's the 1st of May. That's right. Yay. So there you go. And if you want to contact me, you write to crystal@truevisionofpeace.com. So without much ado, I'm going to introduce Jared properly. Jared brings uplifting and enlightening messages in his guided daily meditation to thousands globally, and has a lot to share with the world on disclosure, intelligence, information as well. He's one of the great master teachers, spewing pearls of wisdom in his global meditation sessions, inspiring many to be empowered and to go within to be connected with the true self. Just prepare your questions, get ready. During the Q&A session, you can ask Jared here live. Okay, thank you very much. So over to you, Jared. I'm passing the microphone to you now.
Thank you so much, Crystal, and it's an honor and it's a humble pleasure to be here with all of you. We're all here together. We're all here without ego, and we're here to combine our oneness to assist this civilization and this planet and this solar system in a direction of complete bliss. One thing that I wanted to share is that this is also from the inventor. The download of information that I received was obviously, I am not a scientist, so I don't, I have a different understanding. But going into the celestial chamber, we wanted to keep it away from the word med, away from the word medbed. And so we formed the understanding of a celestial chamber, and that was approved for the name. And basically, if you can understand, I'll try to explain it so that people can comprehend without going into a lot of technical detail of what this is about. It's the celestial chamber is about roughly 9 feet tall, long in structure. It operates from a plasma energy field, and as a lot of us know, the plasma energy field frequencies is everywhere. It's controlled, the plasma energy field is contained and controlled by a tachyon particle field. If you weren't able to do that, it would be everywhere. You couldn't focus it. The brain center is an AI, which has been strapped, which means that it is not aware. There are some fail safes that have been put in place for that. So it is much more of a controlled AI and the database of the human body, of the physical structure, of the frequency field of that body and the energy range of the body. What happens is that the physical form, the body, lays in the bed, in the chamber, and a melatonin acceleration in the brain from the pineal is accelerated so that the person goes into a deep sleep. The DNA chart, genetic makeup, is scanned on the body. It begins to identify, and we're talking about a perfect body, if you will, better choice of words, but you're looking at a device that will analyze and evaluate the mitochondria and the total structure of the human form, the human field. Once it does that, it then depicts, and I'll give you an example. Body has memory. The DNA carries memory. And it doesn't matter if you are missing all 4 of your limbs, you're missing organs, that essence, that energy field is still there, and it is in the DNA. So what happens is the halo flows over the body. It will, before it does that, and it's completely analyzed the human form, it will then literally identify all the anomalies, everything. You can do a full re-atomization, or you can tailor it depending on the anomalies in the human form. So let's just take a full re-atomization, for instance. What will happen is, and now there's no pain in this, there's no cutting or anything. So the body is completely unviolated. And what happens is that as this begins the process takes about 3 to 3.5 minutes. Okay. And what will happen is that the plasma energy field, which the body is made up of, and frequencies to form a solid mass appearing solid, it will pass over, and as it goes over the body, it regenerates from the memory through the DNA, from the mitochondria cell structure of that body. And it is almost like a time field that goes into reverse, eliminating any of the abnormalities of that particular human form. And so the limbs are regenerated in the memory frequency. The organs are regenerated without, and at the same time, erasing the DNA memory. So as this happens, the implants, for example, defibrillators, hip implants, leg, knees, metal implants are atomized. They're eliminated as if they did not exist. It's kind of a difficult thing to explain, but it forms a radiant field around these areas of anomalies and reverses the process of elimination and reinstates the real form that was there in the beginning. Now, it will also reverse the aging process. We can do it all the way down to a very young age, but it is mostly controlled to the age of 35. And it will reverse the aging process of the body. When it is complete, any diseases, anything that's invaded that form and frequency is eliminated as if it never existed. And when it is completed, it does a scan to make sure that everything is nominal, is working and functioning well. And the patient wakes up and they are, the memory of what has occurred is gone. And they wake up as if they have no clue what has transpired until we show them the mirror. And they look in the mirror and they're able to understand. Of course, they sit down with a group of people who have been trained to discuss with them before the process and the responsibilities that are taken on after the process. So this is not a Earth technology. Okay. So and now I'll tell you real briefly. It's we will have a full complete app that will go on a clear device. I can't go into detail with that, but it's not really an iPad or any of that. It looks like a piece of plexiglass, and it's touch sensitive, and it has its own database of information that you pull up that you can literally interface many different applications with. This pad will interface with CC. It's designed to activate your crystalline network before ever coming to the CC. And the design of this has been developed and is partially done. Now, there'll be many miracles that will begin with this application alone. Now, it's possible, but we cannot, commit to this at this time. It is possible that one may never need to even come to the CC for the miracle that they sought after. Already showed up for them at home. So the app directly, it is designed as a quantum entanglement link, which connects the application directly to each person worldwide. In other words, there are infinite quantum entanglement designs individually tailored to each device. Now, the CC application will be totally tailored to each individual and their specific needs. This is going to start making sense once the application is completed. And the training will begin with our staff. So the app will move the application industry to a much needed higher level of consciousness. Now, the ORMS is placed on a link, and which is a major key to understanding what we have created. So, for example, one can feel the energy between their hands between the left as opposed to the right. Duality left is a different type of energy versus duality right. It's a mirror of the opposite, which is totally different but the same. There are two different energy systems, but in the same honor and respect or accord. So the great question is how to put the quantum entanglement energy on a link. And this is our proprietary process, which we cannot share. So the CC is a larger, more powerful unit, obviously, than the application. So your tailored application will be needed to activate the CC. Then with the power of the CC, will be instantly start the balancing of the mold, pathogens, funguses, viruses, etc., on and on and on. So with your favorite pre-tuned music playing to create a healing environment with the light photons singing and streaming, the field of sound you programmed it for, all will start the body on an adventure to harmony and balance. Now, one's balancing session may be less than an hour. And this is, we're talking about the application. So even with the knowledge of the multiple gases from oxygen, helium, argon to neon, etc., with some of these as a blend, we can make these noble gases sing, ringing like a victory bell through a plasma crystalline bulb, creating billions of light photons with a signature of crystal and also with the signature of vibration entanglement of the photons. Now, these have a great effect on the plasmic crystalline cell signature of our body. All the tuning and electronics plus distance of this part of the CC are taken with great understanding and consideration for our plasmic field of our body fluids, plasma. So with this knowledge of millions of nanometers of light, we have a proprietary pulse color laser, which will set a field to erase the cellular memory. All cells hold memory of the duality, ease or duality dis-ease. This is like a flash drive. The laser is a flash erase. So the cells will not remember the old logic value of a problem. This has been proven. We have factualized it, identified it, and we have put it in documentation. So it is known that the nanometer between 490 nanometers to 530 nanometers is all about the color green. And it can and does dissolve blood clots anywhere in the body or the head. There is nothing in medicine working better or faster than the color green. Plus, there are no side effects to green. Exclusively use the color of pure green. Blue and green are amazing colors found everywhere in the universe. And how good do we feel when we are exposed to them? Now, our celestial chamber and the application is on the verge of becoming a reality. And that should give everybody a much, it's about as less technical as I can get for the application of this technology. So it will, I can go as far as to say that it will, it'll eliminate aging, so that the spirit within the body, the high energy form which is in each and every one of our bodies, the higher self, the God spark, the soul, the spirit, is a pure divine energy. It is a frequency. It is a plasma field. And it is immortal of all intents and purposes. So we are striving to make the human field immortal and hence bringing heaven to earth, so to speak. Body being earth and the spirit being heaven. So this is our main objective for the planet as far as well-being in this soon to be eliminated third density for the civilization of the planet. And this will allow for the civilization to expand out, break the veil, so to speak, of deception, of the separation between being locked on the planet and not having the freedom to expand out into the universe, which has been a definite major hindrance for this civilization for a very long time. So it kind of segues into the process of eliminating all of the constructs that this civilization has been forcibly seduced into believing. Again, we also have other technologies that we have been graciously shared, that have been shared with us, that involve generation replication, which eliminates humanity's need, eliminates the lack of mentality and fear, eliminates the need for money, eliminates the overproducing and polluting of the planet, and it provides all of the needs and basic needs and necessities of the civilization. So from clothing to food to buildings on a large scale and small scale. So we also will have a CC wand, and the wand is an emergency carry. It is about the size of a small hairdryer, handheld portable hairdryer with a screen on it. And basically what it does, it's very similar, but on a small scale. If you're on a camping trip or you're out in the wilderness or you're going somewhere or you've been shot or you've had something happen, the wand, the CC wand can be applied and literally re-atomize the area of damage. So this is, these are things that we've, been able to extract from the actual plans and the blueprints that have been shared with us. So there are many things that the civilization, anything that's been invented, has been invented, ever will be invented, has been invented somewhere within the universes. And so a lot of the technologies on this planet at this time are so archaic, they're really probably 1,000 years old compared to the technologies that are within our solar system and beyond. So these are to be gifted to the civilization in a manner of highest responsibility. And I know how people, you know, it's like, give it to me now. I've had people say, could you deliver that by tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.? You know, my father needs to be redone. And people just don't seem to understand that we are not at that phase yet, nor would we do it that way. But we're in the process, obviously, just like Randy, that we are pushing for as much funding in as many different areas as possible to continue with our work. There are many technologies that the civilization is going to be blessed with to live long and prosper, and we've seen many of them, and so there are groups of us that have the responsibility of getting them out safely, securely, and gradually in a timely fashion. Eventually, these will be open sourced to different groups of people who have taken on the responsibility and commitment to the civilization to basically create the value and build the wealth so that we get the distribution channels opened up once the stage is clear, so to speak, of obstacles. Our people, our team works, every single person in our team has an understanding of the deeper dynamics. For example, even holding an electronic component, whether it be wire, a resistor, or a circuit board, plasma lamp, crystalline sender, the approach has to have the deepest level of respect, consciousness, and awareness. And the process of homeostasis has already started even now as I'm speaking, because our intention has set this forth. And this is a very sacred act in itself. Everything starts with the mind. Then we set our intention according to the mental desires, and our ultimate goal is for full homeostasis for all subjects of the world, to have a total balance over any stress that could be visiting them or have been imposed upon them. It's no different than water, which is it's an excellent example of how we as humans can sway water even before one gets to the point of the observation site. We do this to everything we come in contact with and with every element known. And this is our mental square number one. The most wonderful understanding of our body is that we have been given a great gift, and it has only one instruction, and that is to repair or heal only. So this is our DNA link, a divine repair message which is known to every cell. It came to us even before our first breath. So the big question is, why are we not repairing or healing? That's where we have brought in the celestial chamber. So I think that pretty much covers. I'm trying to keep it as tight as I can.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jared.
Do you have a screen share you could share, or any kind of images? We lost our screen share of the device.
No, we would prefer not to show it. Thank you.
Oh, I must apologize. I didn't ask you for permission, but I took the liberty to share a picture that was illustrating your talk about a year ago, just now.
Yeah, there's been some people who have picked up pictures and stuff from Hollywood and things, but the actual structure itself has not been revealed to the public.
Okay.
So.
Well,
at least people do get a rough idea, a gist of how it's going to be.
Yeah, the bed that is the most prevalent picture that you flashed up on the screen
Mhm.
If you took the plexiglass sheathing off of it, the dome,
Mhm.
you're getting closer to the actual bed structure. But the one, ours is it's much more streamlined. You could actually put it in your living room and it would look nice.
Right.
It's not an eyesore. It's meant to blend in with its surroundings. Yeah, and that what you're showing on the screen, if you took the wings off of it and you smoothed out at a much higher surface, it's indented in this depiction here. And all the knobs and everything. This is very archaic design. The AI is actually is up way above it, and this halo effect here that you see, this tunnel, something like what is it? The MRI resonation, the magnetic resonance imaging machine. This looks like more like that. Ours is more smooth, green. It's got a color and the material that changes. The material sheathing on the system is bioorganic, so it shifts in size and dimension depending on the recipient, depending on the patient that gets into it. So it conforms to the body so that they don't feel uncomfortable. So it kind of encases them from the standpoint they fit right in to it.
So Jared, are you saying that the AI reads the original genetic blueprint of the person who's going to get the treatment?
Yes.
Okay.
It picks up the DNA. When it scans the human body, it picks the whole DNA structure up of that particular human body. And with our incomplete DNA strands, we've got 2 functioning and 22 not functioning. It scans all of that. See, eventually humanity will be able to, this civilization will be able to do many things that it cannot do yet on its own. So the purpose of the celestial chamber is to eliminate a lot of the stress, anxiety, and fears that this civilization has been literally saturated with, to free it, to think for itself more, to lead itself, and to progress on a measured basis.
We're just starting Q&A, and I was going to follow up on some of the first points that was raised. And you talked about mitochondria DNA, and this is the DNA is probably some of the oldest DNA that we have in our body. It's passed from mother to child on the female side. That it hasn't changed much. What about the DNA that comes from the father, the male DNA? How do we address this?
As you well know, the cells of all animals on the planet are identical. The cells of the human civilization are identical, except when you go into a human form, which is a Homo sapien sapien. And the Homo is a human hybrid sapien, meaning hybrid. So the cell structure on that construct is different than, say, you or I from that standpoint. We all have multiple DNA fragments that humanity is really not aware of that have been spliced in through tens of thousands of years. This DNA structuring is from different sources of off-world civilizations. We all have a particle of DNA from reptilian. We have particle of amphibian. We have particle of the several different civilizations. So we carry our aggressive nature is traced, as you're asking about the age and the of the actual DNA structure of the human form. our aggressive tendency comes from DNA from the reptilian DNA, which causes us to be much more aggressive and combative at times of stress, anxiety, and fear. It's our automatic response, so to speak. So when the celestial chamber is functioning with that particular human, the blueprint of the DNA of humanity is in all of us, and it adjusts the DNA of that particular human form, the genetic makeup, genetic frequency makeup of that form. So to address the indifferences, on average, each human inherits roughly 8 to 12% of genetic crossover from family members, from ancestors, so on and so forth. This is eliminated as the abnormalities. Say someone has more of a tendency to gain weight. Someone else has more of a tendency to, as they age, to become, have a memory displacement, or a cardiovascular problem, or a arthritic problem that was carried through ancestors. This is eliminated, and the DNA memory is erased. Once the DNA memory is erased in the body has no resonance of memory of these abnormalities. So, for instance, say someone is susceptible to cancer, they inherit it through genetic code, through the family members. What will happen is that will be erased. So the body, the end result, the end product of the CC application is that the body is much different from health perspective. Genetic defects are removed. So the body is absolutely in a much more pristine condition than it ever was in its first round.
Excellent. There's actually 2 questions that came out of chat that follow along that line, and which was kind of addressed just now, is can you change a person's metabolism putting them into this device?
Yes.
Weight gain, weight loss, that type of thing.
Yes. In other words, I'll put it this way, and this is just for fun. Say someone is a swimmer and they do a lot of underwater work, but they want feet that can heat up during colder water. They want webbed feet so that they can maneuver without fins through the water with much better ease. This can be done automatically. Yeah.
Interesting. One of the other questions along that same line, we've developed as Homo sapiens the ability to fight off such diseases as measles, mumps, and chickenpox. Would we lose this, or would it be augmented? How would our immune system that we've enjoyed continue forward after the treatment? And should we lose the technology, would we be putting ourselves at risk?
Interesting question. Obviously, those of you listening know about the immune system in the human body. It's never been at optimal performance ever in our history. So the virals and bacteria that are literally released into the air to see how the human body responds to it. A lot of these have been engineered throughout the centuries to see. We've been treated like a petri dish at a lot of stages, unbeknownst to us. So in the immune system in the body, a harmonic field is generated to protect the degradation of the body tissue. If a viral were to go in through the ear canal or through the nasal area, where it usually first, the eyes, where it comes in, it is fractured and disintegrated from the enhanced immune genetics of that human form. So basically what happens is that it comes in, it cannot affect your physical well-being any longer. That does not mean that your body becomes weak and atrophies, that it cannot fight off things. It just means that it is permanently supercharged so that the what would affect you before can no longer affect you. It will no longer play a role in your well-being. So hopefully that answers your question.
Excellent. James, I think you had a question that you've been following.
Yeah, I've got a lot of questions here, so I don't know. We could just start one at a time, but
Then, James.
first one is, if you are re-aged, would you need to wait for the hair to regrow to be dark? So obviously, you're not going to come out of that machine with your hair was white and it's going to be dark again. And also, will wrinkles go away slowly? Because, I mean, once you re-age yourself, it'll take a while for the body to change back to that form, or is it instant, like regen tank?
It's instant.
That would mean you would probably need like nano or some kind of femtotech and a regeneration tank, perhaps.
No. If you understand the frequency and the currencies of the frequency that we all are, which is electric, which is plasma, and you go into the hyperquantum field of physics, what you're looking at is, I'll put it this way. Say you have a line frequency that's all bumpy. If you look on a graph and it's going up and down, up and down, up and down, like in a voice analyzer. And then the celestial chamber actually re-atomizes that frequency to an absolute smooth frequency, a smooth line. And so the body in disharmony begins to deteriorate and rot. And the reason is that it has been genetically modified to be that way, okay? So when you genetically demodify the human body, you're able to accelerate at whim, at will, its aging and its de-aging. So it's almost as if, I guess the most simplest way to put it is that a time field frequency is placed in the body so that it accelerates in reverse, as if, and the memory is erased so that the wrinkles never were there. The anomalies in the body were never there. So you could you can watch as the patient is, as the technology is applied to the patient, you can actually see the hair go back to the color that they wish it to be. Now, we sit down with them and we go over this in length on, they can design within reason and certain parameters their hair color, what color they want. Doesn't make any difference. You know, what color they want their skin. Doesn't make any difference. It all can be, and this goes way outside of the scientific application of those within the box on this planet. There's no connection with what they try to pretend that they're doing with the de-aging process. So the body is in disharmony. The aging process is part of the disharmony. The body was originally genetically designed to never age. Wow. But through genetic manipulation, the aging has been 80, 90 years old, which is absolutely ludicrous. So people should be able to live as long as they want in a healthy body. And then when they decide to leave the body, they lay down, the body lays down, they have a party or whatever, and then they leave the body. So this goes way, way beyond current understanding of current technologies as people know them on the planet. So wrinkles, everything, wrinkles, hair color, say you've got glaucoma and you've got macular degeneration, or you're blind, you were blind at birth, that is eliminated. You see 20/20.
Does the device work similar to Antony Priory's magnetic Bordeaux machine with the EM scalar waves, or is it through harmonics, or perhaps another means?
It aligns the body in perfect energetic harmony.
So that's similar to what the magnetic Bordeaux machine was doing when before they shut him down.
On a different scale, on a slower application, yes. Look at it from this standpoint, it's much more accelerated.
Have you researched his technology? Anton Priory's magnetic Bordeaux machine?
I'm not, I'm not versed in it, no.
Okay, all right. Well, next question is, who is manufacturing the device?
We are.
And who is distributing it?
We will start distributing it.
Okay. How many units are under production?
We have a prototype in production right now. Once the prototype has been put into use, we then will go to first run production units. And then we have other technologies to distribute those quickly on the planet.
Okay. And when you say we, do you have like a name of a company that you represent or an organization?
The organization that we have formed is known as the Grey Wolf Association.
Is that part of RAND Corporation?
No. Everybody keeps wanting to connect me to the RAND Corporation. No.
Okay.
Because my last name's Rand, so that was a total misunderstanding almost 2 years ago. So no. Nope.
Can you give us an idea how many units are under production or be available and made soon? Maybe in your first round of distribution?
Our current realistic goal is to get a half a dozen first run production units engaged. We will have to use anti-gravitic drive units to bring people to the beds. We will not be at first, due to obstacles out there, we will not be distributing them in daylight and out and open to the public. We will do it in a much more confined and protected environment.
Will be made available to all classes of society and not just the elite like in the movie Elysium?
That's a good question. And the whole purpose of this is that the entire civilization, everyone, will have access to these technologies without fail.
Wouldn't that put the medical cartel out of business completely?
Well, we don't like to spend much attention or energies on that, but there are things that that are in place that protect us.
Wonderful, thank you.
So what would happen to dental fillings or plastic teeth, etc.?
They would become obsolete.
So would they like fall out of the body or the body will chelate it out? Or?
The field that's created with the body in harmony is as if, let's say someone comes into, uses the bed and they have no teeth. Let's say they've had no teeth for a long time, periodontal disease, whatever. And they go into the bed and they say, well, you know, I'd like to have a brand new head of teeth. They will have a brand new head of teeth. And then on top of that, those with implants, partials, you know, the different current archaic technologies they will have a new head of teeth, period. As if those teeth never existed is the point. I'll give you an example on a replicator to answer that a little clearer. In the replicator technology, with the database, with the AI, what you have is that if you take, in simple terms, if you look at bananas, or you look at strawberries, or if you look at steak, if you look at fish, whatever you're looking at, whatever you're consuming, the flavor, the taste, the texture, is created out of the energy field. And it takes on these different forms through seed, through planting, germination, and then for production of plants, and then reproduction through the animal. So what happens is that the replicator goes into the energy field, configures whatever it is you ask it, and it atomizes it in front of you as a solid. It tastes the same, it looks the same, but yet you're the tailor. you're the tailor of what you eat at that point. It's a massive database that has everything and then some that people have forgotten on this planet that once grew. So it literally is extracted from the field. So in other words, I want a grain-fed steak from Texas. I want it medium rare. I want a baked potato. I want it all organic, non-GMO'd, clean, because it would be automatically anyway. And within a wave of your hand, it's there. Now, when that's done, you have the debris, the plates, eating utensils. That is put into a receiving reatomization bin, which then brings it back into the energy field. So it disappears it. So you don't have garbage, you don't have to recycle, you don't have plastics and all of the things that this civilization has gotten way out of control with.
So Jared, in other words, you're saying that the original blueprint of the original, sovereign integral that we are, it's always within the energetic field of that person. And no matter how much of the genetic splicing and hybridization that they do to us, it's never ever going to destroy that original blueprint.
Correct.
Around the energetic field. Are you saying that?
Correct.
Wow. Superb.
Well, could you change your eye color or maybe your body size or your body?
You want to be endomorphic, you want to be ectomorphic, you want to be metamorphic. It's just up to you.
But what if it's not part of your original genetic code?
Does not matter. Genetic code can be addressed.
Okay. Well, this goes back to the AI technology. I mean, wouldn't you need a quantum computer to read all this genetic code?
This is a much more advanced data processor and holder of knowledge than quantum. Okay.
All right. And how much would a device like this cost? What are you projecting?
Well, since it's never been made available on the planet, and we think still in the capitalistic frame of mind, but when we're creating a value and we're building wealth for the civilization, so and life being the highest value in the universe. So, we've had groups come in to try to control and find out things. Well, we only want to keep it for the elite. We only want it only for those that can afford $1 billion for an application. Say, obviously, we turned our backs on that, and because there's no price. You could set any price you want on this. I mean, it's up, within reason. But the point is that if we're going to get it into the hands of the civilization, we have to make sure that it is accessible to the civilization. If you get people that are not of good mind, not of good intent, that will continue to manipulate the technologies for themselves and not the civilization, then we defeat the purpose. So we're in the opposite direction. So we would like to give it to people that need it. We're able to go, let's just put it this way, we will able to travel in the middle of nowhere in the outback of the Aborigine tribes and be able to treat their tribes. We'll incorporate a handheld universal translator there will not be any language barriers on the planet, which is an archaic thing already. So there won't be any separation of the civilization. So we will have a way to get the beds to everybody on the planet. We will have a way to travel in stealth so that we will not be identified, and we will be able to get to certain people in emergencies within seconds, sometimes mostly minutes, but sometimes seconds.
Okay, I just want to mention, I have a friend who used to work at UCLA Medical Hospital, and she said that maybe this is probably about 10 years ago. There was a patent. I don't know if it was a patent, but a technology that they were trying to get a grant for that could scan your body and it'd be similar to a vending machine. You pay $20 or your credit card and it would heal you of any disease. Is that going to be similar to this, where you have a little kiosk and you could scan And by the way, they poo-pooed it and they didn't give it the grant. They thought it was a scam, the doctors, because they didn't believe this technology was real, or either that they were told not to support it.
The kiosk version a decade ago, where you put your card in like a Coke machine and you get your food or whatever, and this scans the body and it heals the body instantaneously. That's a conceivable, but it's not a probable. Okay, the body must be in a state of stasis in order for it to be harmonized. That's why with the CC, the human is put into a form of deep sleep, so that they're in a passive state where it's more of a stasis state. And then that's when the harmony can be most applied through the CC with the plasma and the tachyon control particulate. So what happens is that that technology is a conceivable technology, but not probable.
Can you comment a little bit more about how you actually got funded? Because I know banks and private and hedge funds typically, I mean, maybe hedge funds would fund something like this, but banks would not. Definitely, probably not the government, unless are you at liberty to share?
Well, we've been literally cut off at a lot of different areas to access funding. We've been the gambit on the funding. We've had people that that their hearts are not in the right place. We've had to fend off. If we wanted to, we could have had the funding a long time ago, but we would have it would have been the same old. The technology would have gone in the hands of those that we don't really want it to go into the hands of. So we've had to sacrifice. So therefore, our funding is dribbling.
When did you start this project, Jared? How long ago? Have you started SIG funding?
We started the funding in earnest about 3 years ago.
Right.
We've had the technology for well over a decade.
Jared, I have a question. You were saying this is a non-human technology, is a galactic one. If I may ask, which galaxy and which ET race has brought this forth for humanity to assist us with the ascension process?
This is a technology, I can say this much, this is a technology that was a very old technology to a civilization in the 39th universe.
Mm-hmm.
And they have evolved to, their form is a mist, is the best way to describe it. Mm-hmm. The mist, the whole planet, the civilization is located in the Silver Galaxy, the 39th universe. And this technology...
Sorry, hang on a minute. You were saying in the solar galaxy or silver galaxy?
The Silver Galaxy.
The Silver Galaxy, okay.
The galaxy is more of a 360 circle. It's not a spiral like the Milky Way. Mm-hmm. And it literally shimmers, so it's reflective particle, the way it looks in the gas configuration and its bands. And there are planets there probably 100 to 300 to 400 to 1,000 times larger than Jupiter in our little solar system. And there's all kinds of civilizations that are not as we know them. Mm-hmm. Right now we're transferring from carbon to crystalline base in this civilization. They've gone beyond that. They don't require to have to experience through a physical field. They experience all that there is the only way I can put it.
So it's consciousness in the mist. That's no humanoid.
They've plugged in. They have learned through evolution to plug into the collective consciousness of the universes.
Okay, got you. And this is which dimension is this? Is there a level of a dimension, the 39th universe you're saying? Is it the 39th dimension?
It's
Is that
the
how it's
39th dimension. It's 39 density.
39th density? That's very high up. We are only now existing the third density.
Yes.
And that's the basis.
And then there are also densities in the minuses that will go down hundreds of levels.
Okay.
So I was curious, you said that this is basically this is ET Tech. Have you been given permission from the ICC to distribute these machines? And if not, what is your, I guess, what is your workaround on
Boy,
that?
that's a good question. Separating the current structure on this planet, we're not in that. We're separate from that. We're on the outside of this current disintegrating structure. So no, our authority comes from a much higher, off-world energy.
So do you foresee the ICC will try to suppress what you're doing, or would they green light it?
If they understand that we must work together as a civilization in order to move forward, if they still want to hang on to the construct of self-annihilation, then there's no collaboration there.
So the ICC were given the ultimatum by you because you have come from that level, which is way above.
This isn't about conflict. This isn't about harm or damage or conflict. This is about an understanding of collectivism of the civilization and all those members employed with the civilization. So whether good, bad, or indifferent, it's a coming together of all humanity without this incessant control factor that has pretty much dampened the freedom of this planet and its movement, as well as the civilization and life. So we have to have it in harmony. And if they don't want to be in that harmony, that is their choice, but they no longer will be able to vibrate in this new direction for the civilization. So they will fall away. We'll no longer hold energy or places as this civilization's evolving, and we're right in the evolution of it. We're right in the ascension of it. So it's not going to be as people think it is. These systems, these constructs of illusion, through intimidation, through fear, through getting the civilization not thinking for itself, not leading itself, always relying on external authority, always relying on others telling them what to do, how to do it, when to do it. That's the educational system. That is every system on this planet and how it's been constructed in an illusionary form to convince the civilization that they need that. And it's so far from the truth. We came out of that as a civilization 3,000 years ago.
Right. Just for the sake of the listeners and viewers who are not familiar with the terminology, ICC is Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate. James, perhaps you explain a little bit why this has been brought into this conversation.
Well, I mean,
controllers the planet.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically the SSP. All the different groups work together to colonize Mars and the moon and off-world from there. And they have an embargo on, well, apparently that's starting to be lifted of some of this technology that they've been using to re-age themselves with the immortality tech and a lot more advanced technologies. And of course, there's a lot of reasons behind all that. And I don't want to take up time from Jared to explain that, but you can go to Dr. Michael Sala's website and do a search for ICC if you want to learn more about that. But
keeping this from the civilization, all right? This is a group of, and I have to say beings because they're not all human, of the secret space program. They work in accordance, in collaboration with other off-world civilizations. And their fleets, their technologies, all of the materials that they take from the planet to build their fleets, the finances that they take from the planet to support their infrastructure, it's counterproductive to the civilization as a whole. It keeps humanity separated from its true nature of evolving and expanding. And this isn't overpopulation, that's just another fear factor. So if there is not an open cooperation and a togetherness and to work together, then then the retardation of the civilization remains intact.
Mm-hmm. May I ask, Jared, why is it only now that you come from the 39th universe to help save humanity's ascension? Did you see it from so far off that we really desperately need help, that the violation has been so bad of the universal law that you have come to the rescue?
When you understand the collective consciousness of all that there is, ever has been, ever will be, the collective consciousness is a makeup of even before creation. So it is all of the civilizations that have eternally existed for trillions and trillions and trillions of Earth years. So what happens is that the signal is sent to the beacon, which is some people call it the galactic center. And the beacon sends out throughout the particles of the collective consciousness, those that are stationed in different universes in different parts of existence, make a commitment to come to assist a life form to advance and to eliminate its interference. And that's why a lot of us have come here, entering human bodies, baby bodies, some older bodies, to navigate and to orchestrate a synergy of the frequencies and the energies with this planet, which is a living energy, and the inhabitants of the planet. And of course, humanity is one inhabitant. There are other that appear but aren't. So there's a mixed match. There's just a whole melting pot of different beings on this planet and in this planet. So when that happens, there are those of us that will come in and make that commitment of our own volition. It is what we are. It is a pure, eternal, deep love for all existence, everything. Mm-hmm. It is always, it is a constant. So when we feel disharmony, when we experience, as we are here with this planet, a disharmony, an uneasiness, a disenchantment, a separation, we feel this, and it's an innate draw for us to harmonize it unobtrusively, to blend it and to guide it with the participation of the civilization, so that it's like you believe that darkness is all that there is and all you live in is darkness, but then all of a sudden you are introduced to light. At first, it's hard on the eyes because the eyes haven't adjusted to the light, but after a while you become accustomed to it. So this is a total liberation of this planet. It is a complete freeing of this civilization to expand and advance and interact with other civilizations throughout this universe and eventually others.
Well, we were wondering, being here doing this work for so long and experiencing the violation of the violation of the violation of this universal law, we're wondering when we're going to get help and reinforcement. Here you are. So why is it that it's only now and not earlier? Is it because you sense that there is going to be a total annihilation of the human species with the 5G coming in to cull the human race? Is it true that they're going to reduce the population with the 5G?
Remember earlier I mentioned that the civilization must gravitate and learn to think for itself and lead itself. Outside authority has been its weakness. because these factions, these fractured existences that come into power, know this about the civilization. So they literally use it against the civilization. They convince the civilization that they need external authority, they need to be led, and it actually is the opposite. So the interaction of off-worlders coming to this planet and the solar system to assist is mainly to softly guide them into their own participation with their own liberation. And it goes back to the old adage, and you've all heard this many times, teach them how to fish. Don't fish for them. Teach them how to fish. And we're a very young, very, very young civilization. We are not an old arthritic civilization. We are just beginning to spread our wings. We are just beginning to understand our powers, which are omnipotent. This is not with ego involved. This is a total knowing of eventually each and every one of us will do things that today people would only think came out of fairy tales. Humanity is destined for, and this is why it's been always incarcerated. This is why it's always been contained, that the fear of humanity evolving into its true function, its true love life function. And what happens is that when you get those in charge that know this, they suppress it. So, you know, the things that will happen and are happening and that we've witnessed are people can fly. Now, the conventional construct of this planet is, oh, that's a bunch of hooey, that's ridiculous, that's just garbage. But in reality, it is a reality. It is true. It is a fact. If you understand that you are pure, unadulterated energy, that you are divine of the divine, that you are literally God energy, and that you command the formation of anything you desire in peace, love, and harmony. Once humanity understands this collectively, and once they embrace the understanding that they love themselves, they love everything, all life, and they operate in a level of harmony and peace. Now, obviously, this doesn't happen in the snap of the fingers. So that's why we've been here so long, assisting so long, for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Because you cannot rush an evolution. You can't just snap your fingers and have it happen. The trauma to the physical construct and to the mental construct is absolutely devastating, because we've witnessed this with other planets. It cannot be done. It must move and flow in its own auric energy. It must gravitate to that. Blowing up, killing, a conflict, prejudice, dissension, manipulation, all of these illusions are meant to control the civilization and to keep it to the point of self-annihilation.
Well, can you comment, is the government, FDA, supporting this technology is being released?
There are some people within those organizations that, yes, they want this out. There are those, obviously, that don't. Okay, so I'm not saying that all of these constructs are, the people within them are all vile. There are some really good people that have risked their lives in these organizations that want for their kids, their grandkids, the evolution of this civilization to progress and flourish.
Is this related? Is this related to the technology that the president was referring to at his inauguration speech?
He's aware of many of the technologies that have been kept from the civilization. Yes.
And are you getting patents on this technology?
That's a good question. We do not go the old way. Patents are a way to control the technology on the planet. They are a trap to the civilization. That is why so many technologies that have been patented have disappeared. This is a construct for the government to control the inventors' technologies to wash it away from the hands of the civilization. So therefore, I would recommend that anybody who has proprietary inventive information and a construct or an actual working device, there is a way that we have that you can protect it without the current negative constructs of the planet. So no, we got patent is a trap.
So we got to talk, Jared. FESIG has free energy devices. Well, anyway, Jared, you're saying that this is just a temporary measure. This is like a turbo booster to assist us because apparently we've been bashed up so bad that we couldn't do it ourselves. So we need this technology to help us. And I'm quoting this paragraph here of the page that announced your talk about a year ago. So it says these technologies, I don't know who wrote this, Ascension with Earth person, I guess, says the technologies can be used as a stepping stone to reintroduce humanity to the amazing power of our infinite and boundless natural abilities. Please remember that the technology, like those mentioned on this call, are still part of the holographic matrix. Well, I should not think so. I think we are very grateful to you coming all this way from the 39th dimension to assist us with this technology because we need it bad. It's bash up bad here.
It's this is partially true. These technologies are stopgaps. They're in-betweeners to get the civilization into the harmony of understanding that this is an achievable application through this technology. Eventually, each human will heal themselves at will. Each human will heal themselves. Their bodies will continually stay in a form of organic of immortality. So but this, in the meantime, these technologies are meant to assist the civilization and to get it into the harmony. Once you get used to something, once you start researching it and understanding it and you can apply it to yourself, we want humanity to become geniuses. We want 100 at a time, 1,000 at a time. It doesn't matter about your IQ, that's a construct. It doesn't matter what lot in life you have, what you've decided to do or be. It is about creating self-thinkers and leaders for, leading themselves into a harmony of, they create massive value for the civilization and they build untold wealth for the civilization. This planet was meant to be an absolute paradise of existence. It was not meant to be what it is today. And once the civilization is broken free and they understand this and they start gravitating towards what can I do to enhance and improve in a good, loving, uncaustic way, in other words, do no harm for the civilization. How can I improve these things? What can I do? And humanity will come alive with this. These people will start understanding that they are power, that they are literally power of creation. They can begin to engage phenomenal avenues of extensions of the technology. And that's our ultimate goal, is to open source this technology to all of those who are responsible enough and understand its application to the civilization.
Well, Jared, can you comment what would happen if billions of people were made available on this immortality tech? So, I mean, what about overpopulation? What are the concerns?
Okay.
How's that going to be dealt with?
That's a good question because it always comes up. That's the old way of thinking. You have a civilization that becomes thinking and leading itself. It progresses in technology and form. It begins to understand that it is meant to expand, interact with other civilizations. It begins to understand that it develops the technologies of interstellar travel, which already exist anyway. It then goes out to other civilizations and harmonizes with those civilizations. And then it goes to other planetary systems, and then it expands out to those planetary systems and populates them. Literally millions upon billions of humans will leave this planet and will dust and seed other planets where civilizations will grow, And it will get to a point where, oh yeah, my great-great-great-grandfather was born on Earth. I've never been there. Have you? And that's how this is going to progress. This happens throughout the universes. This is a constant progression and expansion of a civilization. It has two tricks. One, to be allowed to be controlled and enslaved to the point of mystical self-annihilation. Two, the one where it goes out and expands and interacts with all that there is. It's an endless journey in densities, dimensions, and existences. But it is a spectacular journey. And we haven't even scratched the surface. So the population of this planet will decrease and balance after a period of time. So there will not be an overpopulation.
Okay, I've got a few more questions. Hopefully I'm not overloading everybody here with questions, but I was just curious, when will this technology be released to the public? And is there a way we could try the prototype that you've already created?
We will have, obviously we have endless amounts of people on the planet that need it now. That's a frustrating thing. But we will, our first run is we do a half a dozen people who are basically on their, they got one foot on the banana peel, another foot in the grave, and so to speak, and we harmonize them. We will do like biographies of video footage of each process, the skull session, the project team interaction with the patient before, the interaction with the patient after the process. You take an 85-year-old man and he is re-atomized into a 35-year-old young strapping guy with imperfections eliminated. All of a sudden, any identification is history. People aren't going to believe him, all right? He's going to be younger than some of his kids. So there's emotional ramifications here that the humans don't understand. That they're so in a hurry to get this fixed. But there's things to consider. There are things to start to understand, and with great responsibility to make that decision on, okay, this is what's going to happen. How are you going to handle it? So we take them through that process before and after, and we then take them back to where they reside, and they're more equipped and better well to handle the situation. So we cannot do it. We wish we could to treat a massive amount of people at once. We would have riots. People, you've seen pictures of the Walmart things where people are fighting over things, and they're worried and stressing that they're not going to be included or something's going to happen and they won't get the treatment. And so all of these thoughts, these bicameral thoughts that come in, cause problems. So what we do is eventually we have teams set up across the country and the planet. These teams have volunteered their time to take on, they've got engineers, scientists outside the box, they've got former NASA people, and we're constantly collecting those people, constantly interviewing and talking with them, constantly vetting them. And so as these groups have formed, we will have a duplication process where we will send our setup team out to them. Some of them have already set up structures and everything. They will then get open sourced information on the whole process of the technology. They will be given a unit, and then they will start production of that unit. This way, and form to literally spider across the planet with certain specific locations, we can then accelerate the process of the distribution of these to different communities, and taking them into old folks' homes, retirement homes, hospitals across the planet, and effecting the change to the people. It's a big undertaking. We are aware of that. We have committed to it. And we will, this is our process of introducing it to the civilization. Obviously, we do have currently on this planet those who wish to continue the old way. And we understand that.
Yeah, but Jared, you're still not answering the question. What timeline are you projecting this to be released to the public?
Once we have the full financials of it,
okay,
we'll start treating people immediately. The full financials are our holdup right now.
And the second part was the prototype is not ready to be released even to the public for trials or anecdotal study. Okay. Well, can you comment on how long a typical treatment would take?
I believe I mentioned that earlier, 3.5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wow.
Because the magnetic Bordeaux machine was 10 minutes. So that makes me wonder if it's the same tech. But and can you be young? Can it actually make you younger than 35 if you want it to be?
Yes.
But will you put limits on it? Like not?
Yeah, we have to, because people can get carried away. We have found, we've got people that, believe it or not, we had one fellow that we interviewed that said he wanted to be 5 years old again. And he was 92. And plus, he wanted us to fix the timeline so that he could relive the time when he was 5 again.
Oh,
and you know, it's some crazy things that people ask. Yeah.
Jared, do you, when you have this process of selecting your team members to work on this project, do you have a system where you actually could scan the what do you call it, the vibrational frequency signature of the person, whether the person is of dark proclivity or
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also the people who undergoes the treatment, I'm sure you would be selective as well. You don't just heal anybody, right?
Yes, exactly.
I'm glad I made this point. Yeah.
That's a good point. There's we will know from the genetic DNA to the current intent of each being.
Mm-hmm. How do you use a technology for that? Or do you use your own natural abilities from the 39th dimension?
We're careful not to do a forced intrusion. It has to be an accepted intrusion or an accepted invitation. So we're very careful with that. So we do not invade unannounced. We discuss it, and if they're willing, then we go ahead and we touch their essence. We touch their divinity. When we find out if there's a separation between the physical 3-density body that causes the disharmony within that being. And once we understand that, we can eliminate the disharmony if the body wants it.
Can you comment if this can be used on animals or pets or maybe even plant crops?
We have that's a good question. We have a technology, and it can get confusing, so I'm just going to try to simplify it. Technology is this. If you have, you said plants and
yeah, I think James relating to the GMO, our food chain has been bastardized. So I think if that's what you meant, James, can it be put back into the
like some crops get like viruses, diseases, and so on. So instead of using like pesticides and maybe not necessarily herbicides wouldn't apply to this.
Plants are taken from a different cellular structure. There's still frequency, but what we do with the plants, even a whole field of disease, let's just say a diseased fruit tree orchard or something that's going to die off. We put a field around it, and we accelerate it in reverse timing. The atmospheric structure around it, the plasma energy field around it, literally accelerates in reverse, and at the same time, it does a genetic decoding of the infiltration of the disease and the disharmony within the plant and eliminates it completely, and its DNA code is reset so that it doesn't have a memory of that disease. And it also, its immune system is greatly accelerated and enhanced. So when we bring it back to that level of understanding, the whole orchard is pristine, clean, new, and vibrant, free of toxins and elements. Even the genetically engineered mechanisms are eliminated.
Wonderful. So we don't have to wait till the melting of the ice in Antarctica for the original seed bank to come out.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
We had an interesting question that just came up in chat, and it's along the line that I wanted to see if we could steer into just for a moment. Dealing with world geopolitical constructs that we're seeing right now, both in the EU, in the British government, and that kind of stuff, we're seeing a massive changes, and it's looking like it's being attacking maybe the central banks and that type of thing. Are we looking at waiting for that process to happen to get your funding and get your beds in production, or is this just part of the same process that everything is culminating into this collective consciousness of change?
Great question, Fres.
Yeah, it's a good, firm question. To simplify it, the financial structure of the planet is decoupling from the control mechanism. And the intent of this by the highest energy is to flood the civilization with wealth. This is a process. It's been done before with other civilizations. There are some avenues that are a little gray that can cause issues, but it's to hydrate humanity with unending wealth. The wealth accumulation on this particular planet in this system has accrued for hundreds of thousands of years. Some of it has lifted off planet, taken to other planets. Majority stays intact. So the financial structure is a illusionary, controlled, mumbo-jumbo, gobbledygook of lack of. Again, external authority, doom and gloom scenario. Keep the people in cowering mode. So the financial structure that you're seeing bloom and be born out of the ashes of what was is happening currently. There's people on the planet that have been literally selected with the responsibility to distribute the wealth amongst the civilization in different avenues in different ways. Governments will disintegrate. There will no longer be an external authority structure on this planet. It does not work for the greater good of the civilization. It is a recipe for self-annihilation. So what will replace these governments are small groups of humans that will literally have one job, and that is to protect us from harm. Our job is to do no harm to each other, the ecosystem, all life, and to expand out into the universe. So the financial structure is a complete release of the wealth of the planet onto the civilization, which it greatly is deserving of. And then money becomes passé. It is no longer a need for the civilization. Everybody has it. It is an endless supply of wealth. And then after the smoke clears and things get in order and all debt has been eliminated, which is also an illusion, what will happen is that the people, it has been designed so that they begin to come out of their cocoons. They start thinking for themselves. They start leading themselves, step-by-step process. You got to crawl before you can walk, and you got to walk before you can run. So this process will take about 6 to 10 years, 10 max, 6 average, before the monetary system on this planet is eliminated. And once that takes place, we move into a super civilization, a civilization of the universe, where we progress forward and we enhance our existence and abilities through advanced technologies for life, and we expand out into the universe.
So how much money would you need to get these things manufactured, if you could throw a number out there?
Our initial, let's address this, the prototype, and then going to the first run production unit. We're talking for just that 50 million.
Are you seeking Dragon family money or RV funding? Is that how you expect to pay for that, or is it hedge fund?
There's an interesting thing there that you just said. There's good, bad, and ugly. And all I can say is that imagine that there are those on this planet that have confabs, and their discussions go something like this. We can't give this to the human race. They aren't ready for it. They aren't mature enough. They aren't capable. So we have to decide for them. So what do you think? Do you think we should give it to them? No, not now. No. We got to wait. So henceforth, it continues on 100 years, 100 years, 100 years, 100 years. That's why we're still using a combustible engine for 200 years now. So it's the process of others, of external authority, thinking and deciding for the civilization. This cannot work anymore. It is a self-destructive ploy application. So when we talk about, we should have the funds right now. We should have had them a long time ago. But unfortunately, there are those that wish it never, ever to get to the civilization. They're still around. We have these bumps in the road. Not even though you have these groups that want to help the civilization, there are those within the groups that do not want to help the civilization. Mm-hmm. So there's a conflict internally with some of these
dragon people,
period. And a lot of, some of them are not anyway, they're not human anyway. Some of them are Homo sapiens sapiens. Mm-hmm. Some of them are not of Earth. So there's a lot of mix match going on. And it's always the worry. The worry collectively is, can they handle the truth? Can they handle all the things that have occurred, which some of them have participated in? It's the same with the SSP. There are some of the leaders in that structure that have done horrible things, okay? So let's just put it this way. They aren't wearing halos. It doesn't mean that they haven't decided to switch gears and start participating in the advancement and improvement of life for the civilization in itself, but it's still a new concept to some of them.
I was curious, how many units will you be manufacturing for 50 million? What is your estimate on that?
Once we have it in the inline facility, we can pump out 20 to 30 a day. That's running an inline plant facility operating on a 3-shift, 24/7.
Okay. So Jared, you're saying you've already built the prototype some time back.
I will say that we have a construct and we have a device.
Okay. A fully working device?
We have a working device.
Okay, cool.
And who will be distributed first? I know you mentioned possibly nursing homes, maybe even hospitals, but I doubt the FDA will approve of this.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
That's going to come later because obviously, as you just stated, that we have some obstacles to address with it. On this planet, it's always about gimme, 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 take, how much, which is it's the death knell of the civilization and the planet. This is a harmonistic introduction to, if we had our way, we would have this out in a matter of weeks and announced to the entire civilization. Okay. We would have it done in a way where it would be introduced in a caring capacity for knowing that every human will have access to these devices.
Mm-hmm.
So do you need to be like, perhaps get some kind of certification in order to purchase one, like be a nurse or something, or can anyone purchase one?
No, the idea is that eventually, like you have a refrigerator, which you won't need in the future, but like everybody's got a refrigerator. This is our goal, is that everybody on this planet will have a celestial chamber. And it'll be funny because you'll be going around now, and people will say, "What's that room?" You go, "Oh, that's my celestial chamber room." And they'll go, "Oh, you have one of those now?" Yep, celestial chamber room. And so you have a dedicated room with a celestial chamber in it. You go in there, and whenever you choose, you might say, "Look, my hair is getting, I see some gray hairs. I really don't want to have gray hairs, and I don't want to use chemicals to try to mask it." So you get in the bed, this chamber, and it affects the change. You want your hair to be whatever color, and it goes back to a healthy natural color of, I'm serious. You could do pigmentation in the hair follicles genetically, that you could have blue hair, you could have green hair, you could have yellow hair, you could have any color, purple hair. I mean, it's just no big whoop. You want vibrant blue eyes, you want golden eyes. There's no big deal.
So Jared, you're saying that it's not a one-time fix-all thing. You've got to have like a fix.
It is, but the body will age, it will continue on a process, but then you'll be able to continually keep it at a level of youth.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Is there going to be some kind of government agency that will regulate the usage of this technology so it's not abused?
No, there won't be. This will be entrusted to each human, and this is what will happen. The AI is programmed to deter any messing with, in other words, anything that will create harm, anything that will do damage to life is negated. They can't access it. They won't be able to. There's only a specified field that they'll be able to use the technology in. If they try to tamper with it, or if someone thinks that they have the ability to try to reprogram the AI, it will induce itself to shut down, and it will not be repairable. It will permanently stop.
Someone had a question. Does it use electricity to operate?
That's a good question. That's the first one. Waiting for that question.
You're speaking in the free energy platform.
It is self-powered and portable. It can be taken anywhere on the planet. It will never run out of power. This is a micro cube that's about the size of Rubik's Cube. It is planted in the brain center, and it wirelessly, through light communication, powers the device. This one little cube could power a city, to show you the extent of its ability. It shows you how much the people of the planet have been so duped.
Is there a way we could support you?
Yeah, there is a website that you can go to for this specifically.
Okay.
The name of the website is The Silver Galaxy.
Got you.
It's an email address, an email address. The Silver Galaxy at protonmail.com.
At protonmail.com, sure.
All lowercase, The Silver Galaxy, all one word, at protonmail.com. When you send an email, all you do is, in the subject line, is say, how may I help? If you've got some information to share. We encourage inventors. We encourage scientists. We encourage engineers. We encourage moms, dads, kids. If they have something they would like to contribute, from whether it just be information, ideas, thoughts, we encourage all of that interaction.
Jared, you're speaking at the right platform. We have all of those you mentioned.
Yeah, I sense all of them. I sense their minds going a mile a minute too. I can sense them thinking, creating. I mean, it really is a high here, because I constantly have goosebumps running up and down my body on both sides. Because their minds and their heart minds are just absolutely going at breakneck speed. They've also constructed different devices in their own thought process that they've already started working on, that they haven't even been able to put on paper yet. So this is what we want. We want this. This is the excitement of it. This is to flourish.
Cool. Any questions? Co-chair? Are you?
Yeah, so one more, and just love throwing these in. Very techy. We have, as a inside our bodies a multitude of other entities that we carry with us, and they are symbiotic, in the most part symbiotic, and that's, I'm talking about the microflora and fauna inside us, and we have a tremendous amount of those. Some of them are beneficial, others invade and take over. The complications of this, disrupting this balance, do you want to address that for a moment?
That's a very good question. The mind, unfortunately for humanity, has become the master and commander of the human, along attached with its ally, the ego. So the ego is never satisfied. Now, if you incorporate that with the mind, and the mind telling you how to feel and how to be, what you can and can't do, this is the right and left brain talking to each other. Right? This is it's more of a bicameral process. So with these energies, which is what they are, the microflora, the good, the bad, and the ugly, that come in on frequency waves, lines, spider webs that come into the energy form of the body, the imbalance comes from the fear created in the energy of the body form that is literally generated from the mind and the ego, that accelerates the microflora, these energies, these entities, if you will, that infiltrate the body. The good ones are wonderful, the body is harmonizing, the other ones are disruptive. You have also a medium of, for a better choice of words, participle energy frequencies that come in that disrupt the entire body construct. And of course, then we have all of the aftermath of different things that happen. So it is with intent through the emotion center of love, of the light energy from the heart mind, which is very much more powerful than the mind itself, but we're not negating the mind. The understanding is the key. It is for the body to be in harmony. And the majority of humanity's bodies are not in harmony. They're in constant battle of existence. So if you, and this is all part of the evolvement and the ascension of understanding that you are the master and commander of all of these energies. You literally command and master them. You're the light ship. So when you have these disharmonies, and it's about knowledge and understanding that you have them, because we all do, you begin to address them. And the way to address them is to go into a space of being, which means that you just don't talk, and you just, you exist, I guess the best way to put it. You go into a peace. Some people say meditative state. It is an understanding of the physical vessel. It is a communication with your physical vessel. So you start to see through the heart mind at microscopic size, in full technicolor, cinemascopic window of their activities and actually what they truly are. So what you do is you begin to scan them and disperse the ones that create disharmony. You disperse them, you transmute them, and they are regenerated into the field of the body as a positive frequency rather than a negative frequency. Now, most people cannot do that. So that's why we have the CC, that's why we have the wands, so that you can get used to the elimination of the process. And the knowledge that we all contain that is embedded in our electric energy, our higher self, our spirit, our soul, is all that we ever wanted to know. Everything, ever has been, ever will be. is contained within that ball of light that runs these energy fields. And once you begin to understand that, you then open up the entire world of your existence of saying, okay, so now I know. Now I know what I can do and how far I can go. There are no limitations. There have never been any limitations. If there were limitations, it would mean that you would stop advancing and growing. This is an infinitesimal journey that we are all on. It is throughout the universes. The universes, by the way, are endless. They're never stopping. There is a rim called before creation. This rim is a fine ribbon of energy. It separates the collective consciousness to determine and continually create universes. There are beings out there that literally, through intent, create universes. So, you know, expanding on that from the flora and the body, it branches out. If you look at the body of the human being, it is a universe. We know of universes that can be contained on the head of a pin. Vast, expansive, much larger than how we perceive this universe. The size is not a proper definition of reality.
Jared, I take it that from the whole big picture that I gather from your talk today, I gather that this is kind of like an ascension device. It's sort of like brings about the collapse of the veil of forgetfulness in order to reconnect to the cord that connects us to source. Isn't that kind of like an ascension process for humanity? With the healing of the overall, the human physical construct that is connected to the subconscious, the conscious, the subconscious, and the code of connection to source?
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now this is how it's going to be, bringing about the collapse of the veil of forgetfulness. Remember
doom and gloom, and I think all of you know this. I think you all know this like the back of your hand. Doom and gloom it's been constructed for this civilization to keep it in fear.
Yeah, that's their food.
If you trace back the courses of history, and you look at the doom and gloom scenarios that were implanted onto this civilization, none of them occurred.
Cool. Right. Is there any question that we are opening to the floor? Put up your hand and mute yourself. You have a very impertinent question, because I think we're coming to the end of the meeting now. It's gone on quite a fair bit.
How much? I mean, I would still like to know how much a unit would cost. I'm assuming probably about 15 grand. That's kind of what you were describing.
Yeah, you know, to make it affordable, about 15,000.
Yeah,
so we're making money on it. Let's put it this way. We're making money on it.
Yeah, and you're going to make about 10,000 units, and that way, but that's not going to really be enough to solve really all the world problems. You need to produce millions of these things.
Absolutely, you're on the right path. You're thinking absolutely.
Yeah. Well, what we're doing here in FESIG is we've got Thomas Bui to open source his blueprint, and we teach through the internet, and anybody who cares to learn anywhere in the world will build their own free energy device.
Well, you know, and also it's greatly appreciated because, you know, Randy, Captain Randy Kramer, he's got a technology that he's familiar with that they use it in the secret space program.
Yeah, in Mars.
You know, to reverse age their people and to repair them when they're in, you know, on mission. So, especially with the ones on Mars, that there are some reptilian colonies on Mars that are just very aggressive and very territorial. So,
Captain Randy is here. Jared is here to speak for it himself. Yeah. Then, sorry to interrupt. I'm just so excited that Randy's still here.
Yeah, he has. I mean, you know, we need as much as we can get. We've got billions of bodies to heal. I mean, you know, it is massive. Massive.
Captain Randy, do you want to say a few things about your device? Captain Randy?
Oh yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I had to
Cool.
find my unmute button. I'm also nibbling on a snack while I'm listening at the same time here, so I didn't want to make crunchy noises into my microphone. Well, we're certainly aware of multiple technologies that people would like to bring into the public sphere, and we're perfectly happy to have anybody bring any technology into the sphere that's operable and manufacturable and distributable, because we certainly don't think that anybody needs to or should have any kind of a monopoly on that. But yeah, so whoever can bring whatever technology to the table and to the marketplace, we're certainly would encourage them to do so in whatever means that they have possible. And I mean, I'm not sure what you want me to say specifically about the holobed technology. I certainly have spoken about it before. And
well, I just wanted to mention that Captain Wendy Kramer had spoken in FESIG before a couple of times. If listeners and viewers would just go into the FESIG's YouTube channel, you will find him. And then, you know, he described in detail what he's doing. All right, thank you.
Well, Alicia would like to know, can your consciousness be altered by the device? Perhaps maybe if you have schizophrenia or maybe PTSD.
That's a good question because we haven't addressed that. We have another application, another technology for the brain. The capacity of it is centered and focused on the synapses and the electrical communication in the brain patterns and frequencies. The abnormalities of brain are like anything else. It's an unlimited storage chamber, basically infinity. And we have two technologies. One is a technology, it looks, I don't know, it's a rough description, but it looks like a hairdryer you see in a salon. You sit under it, it comes down over the cranial, the top of the head, and it has a piece that goes down to the cervical spine center. It then harmonizes the frequencies, which are the electrical currents, the synapses that continually fire in the brain and send messages. Some of those become distorted. You then get disintegration of cohesiveness for the human to, be in proper motion with mind and thought and communication. So they become the schizophrenia, which is a bicameral process where you begin to hallucinate in the brain, and the brain misfires, and it communicates with voices from one hemisphere to the other. This is where people begin to hear voices, and there's a lot of people today that claim they've heard voices. Those voices can be artificially stimulated in the brain by signals from outside sources, or they are stimulated within the brain. So these messages can be vocal, and the human hears these voices. Henceforth, schizophrenia, multiple personality disorder, emotional disorders. You've got all these different anxieties, social anxiety disorders. All these labels that they put on these things. It's basically a brain that's out of harmony. And if the brain gets out of harmony and it has all of these different signals that it's sending as communications, and all of a sudden some of these communications go haywire, you literally have these effects with you that are much, much misunderstood. This device sets the pattern in a harmonistic wave that adjusts the brain to a perfect harmony. So those are eliminated, and it also removes the memory of the DNA construct, the memory of those imperfections in the brain. And it's also, through other frequencies throughout the body and chemical disharmony that the body produces for proper alignment to get out of the way. Oftentimes, there are the technologies that they have that can literally inject persuasive commands in the human brain. I'll give you an example. When they cracked the skull of Napoleon Bonaparte, he had a chip processor embedded in the top of his cranial bone cavity. This chip processor was a sender-receiver of information to influence his thoughts and his actions during his existence. So this has been done with other leaders on the planet throughout the ages. So these things are, if you can control an electronic device with a Bluetooth or infrared, the old infrared, it's obvious that people can send signals into the brain and also control the brain from a certain perspective of frequency. So, but this device harmonizes the brain, washes it clean, puts it into a harmonious order so that it's at optimal function.
Yeah, I think we'll come to an end now for the first session of this meeting, because there are some of us here who are awaiting Thomas Bowie's presentation as well. And Pontus has said that if Thomas not around, he's going to do an update of the building of the prototype of the Bowie marine motor generator in the next session. We're going to take a little short break, just a minute or so, just to take a breath, and then we start recording again as we start again the next session. Okay, don't go away. Jared, is there anything else that you want to address this congregation, this group here, before we adjourn the meeting to the next session where we talk about the free energy device?
It's the when you experience the power that emits from each and every one of the people here, and to know that they have a true mission and their commitment is absolutely paramount. That, I guess it's a rejoining of a group of spirits that have been doing this throughout eternity. James in particular has a massive great mission ahead of him. His connection with, there are some of on the planet that he can ignite in a really great way. Everyone, Franz, Portis, everybody, yourself, Randy, is immense. This is a collective effort, which is a real joy to experience, to see all of us coming together in a peaceful harmony that we can orchestrate, all operating in a togetherness and individually as one, to bring this massive change to this planet, which is in full gear now. It is in full engagement. What you see on the surface is just an illusion. So again, I thank each and every one of you.
Oh, thank you.
It's just a joy to be around people that vibrate this wonderful auric energy. So
thank you. I feel the same as what you said. Thank you so much, Jared. There's so much love in my heart for
Jared,
all of you here.
Can you give out your website again?
Oh, the website is weareonelightforall.net. The email address is thesilvergalaxy@protonmail.com.
Thank you very much.
James, the link is, as to listeners, the link, Jared Rand's link, website link, is in FESIG's page, as I have pointed out earlier. Thank you very much. So, folks, there being no other business, this first session of the 63rd FESIG meeting is now adjourned to the second session of the 63rd FESIG meeting, where we have Thomas Bui addressing his invention, if Thomas is still here. Otherwise, Pontus will update us on the prototype, which is near completion now, before we then launch the training course. Thank you so much, Jared. We are so honored. It's such a pleasure to have you presenting this information to us. And thank you. And namaste in Lakesh and namaskar. And thank you, Captain Randy Kramer, for being here with us as well. Thank you.